love to relax, and if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, let's all take our deep collective breath in and slowly exhale, and allow our consciousness to recognize on this holy ground, to experience the divine essence of this sacred space, a sacred and safe space of love, harmony, joy, perfect health, wisdom, abundance, and peace. I am still, and I let this divine flow of energy to make its full expression and manifestation right at the very center of my being. Peace, infinite peace, is at the center of my being. I am living, moving, and having my being in that which is perfect, complete within itself. That self is my own self. I'm letting myself to get out of the way, to let go and illuminate my own magnificence, shining forth my divine source in me, through me, and as me. In this stillness, I am knowing I am one with this power backing up all that there is. One essential being, one life, one mind, guiding and supporting me right here and now in every journey. I am the word of perfect health for my body, my amazing experiences and relationships, knowing that the source within me is the power that brings wholeness into my being. I speak the word of divine guidance and wisdom of the universe, shining forth as a beacon of light to lead me into a way that is always made clear and straight before me. I am visioning a bountiful life of abundance and prosperity from a source that is already within me and for me, overflowing my cup, directing me to what I'm seeking is seeking me to. I offer you peace to everyone here and beyond, knowing my inner peace is a voice always present in the community of our sacred heart and mind, for you and I in all ways, giving it and receiving it as a beloved child of God. So as we relax into this realization, I invite everyone to come back into this sanctuary, and let's take all another deep collective breath in and exhale as I welcome you back with ease and grace. So in faith and gratitude, together we say, so it is.
Please close your eyes. And just for a moment, allow me to speak in the first person, just for you. God shows up for me this morning as joy, unconditional love, and creative energy. God is one mind, one presence, one love, that is everywhere. I know I'm one with this loving presence that fills up every area of my life. Just as I know that God resides within each and every person here, every moment of every day. As I move into this beautiful holiday season, I'm open to all the good that God has in store for me. As I practice the law of giving and receiving, I give joyfully and I receive joyfully. And my cup runneth over with all of God's blessings. The message today that Reverend Dan delivers, it's a very special message. And I know that everybody leaves here today feeling good, feeling inspired, because each person hears exactly what they need to hear and they receive exactly what they came here looking for. So with a grateful heart, I simply say thank you. Thank you, God, for our 3 ministers who love us unconditionally. I'm especially grateful this morning for our Reverend Dan, who's come home to our center again. Reverend Dan is our beloved. I'm grateful to the Ministry of Prayer team. They pray every day. They lift us up in prayer. Grateful for the volunteers, seen and unseen. They make all of this just look so easy. Grateful to Patty and Dave. They give us music that makes us feel good, it makes us want to move. Grateful to the sound crew. Grateful to Julius, who always makes us look good in his pictures, and especially when he takes Christmas pictures. I can breathe easy now. I can let go and let God. As I release my word into the perfect law, knowing that every word I have spoken is manifesting right now. And we all say, and so it is. Reverend Dan is here. Beautiful Paco's here. I saw you. This is for all of you guys. You see this going here? Oh, maybe you didn't want me to do all that. All right, I don't know. All right, it stops right now. Sorry. My bad. My bad. I got a knee thing, but my hip's all right. That's good back. Yes. Little Jana Stanfield. I'd like to take it. Yeah. It's good album, right? Yeah. Come on now. Yes, I can do all the good that the world needs. Come on, Randy. And the world, yeah, needs all the good.
while you're standing, would you please join me in saluting our country? If you would, just say with me, God bless America and the rest of the world, and knowing that the rest of the world is right here in this room, please. Chairs so the music stops where you're supposed to be. Oh, music's going. Okay, good morning. I'm Lauren Ballardini, one of the practitioners here, one of the many practitioners here. Reverend Stacy and Reverend Cheryl are away this weekend. They're attending an ordination for a dear friend. And Reverend Dan is back, as we heard, so happy. And we also have Ordinette in the house. Great day. Great day. So excited. I'd love to just welcome anyone that is here for the first time. If you'd raise your hand or be pointed out. Hello, welcome. How did you hear about us? Barbara. Thank you. Welcome. Someone is being pointed back here.
I brought someone, but they're not feeling well. But it's my friend Tracy.
Oh, welcome. We said hello. Oh, thank you. Anyone else that's here for the first time?
My friend Skippy.
Oh, hi, Skippy. Welcome. We're huge fans, so you probably are too. Welcome. If you would, the ushers, just keep your hand up for a moment. They're handing out gifts. And also in the grand hallway, we have just a little album that you can just sign a guest book, and then we can just stay in touch and let you know what's going on here. Let's see. Other than that, I think we're just in for a great treat, starting with our own Abby Feigenberg and Annie Wolf to speak to us about a very special holiday.
This is called a Hanukkah in Hebrew, also called the menorah, as we say in English. And we're just going to say the blessing for it. We thought we'd do that today. Since last night was the seventh night, I lit all seven. And this one is the Hamash, it's called, and it's the leader light. It's the one that lights all the others. Whoops, I just messed it up. The button's closed. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher tisham mitzvah, tzivanu b'chad l'pnei Hanukkah. We have a video.
Is this the eighth night? We light with family, recall with great pride our escape from great tyranny. Kindle the lights, remember the Maccabees. How did those fine boys lead us to victory? They stood up against mighty foes with their oil running low. Now we sing the lights glow. who love me. He lights the candles with his whole family, sharing the joy of a proud history. C'est vivant, sauf, morceau of Ganio. Born hot, cause love is morceau of Ganio. Born hot, cause please morceau of Ganio. Born hot, cause please morceau of Ganio. Morceau of Ganio, it's morceau of Ganio. Abba morceau of Ganio. We fly our foot as we celebrate the Maccabees. We're free, we're free. So you think you can serve like as much as my pride? Don't you know I'll recall those miraculous nights? Can't do this to me, buddy. Just gonna need more sour cream. Know what really matters, like the Maccabees. Know what really matters. Thanks to God, our people are
Now that's an a cappella group. One of my favorite singers in life is here today. Thank you for gracing us. You really are. Please welcome one of your favorites as well, Dr. Reverend Mortonette Stevens.
Hello, hello. Now, good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to share a song that I wrote, and I think it speaks for what we all are choosing to believe as our truths. Okay? It's entitled Self-Talk.
You find if you look deep in your Annette, and Dave, and Patty, and isn't Lauren the best Vanna White ever? Yeah. Isn't she? I just want to, first of all, I want to say to anybody that approached me this morning, I was a little distant because I just can't get into emotion right now. After the talk, somebody better break open a bottle of wine, and we probably need to, the revs are gone, so there's probably not a damn drop of wine around here. Since Thanksgiving, oddly enough, one of the greatest stressors that I've had was how I would come here and talk to you. And so I turned to my mentor and my teacher, Reverend Cynthia, and I said, what do I do? And she said, you just paint it red, sweetheart. Just paint it red. So my son Tommy, after 10 really challenging years, at the age of 32, he died of a heart attack on Thanksgiving morning. And when I heard the news, I was numb. I was numb. You know, nothing prepares you for that kind of an event. And you're sad, and you're angry. I didn't want anyone to touch me. I don't know what that was all about. And you want to know why? Why? And then I remembered what Reverend Cynthia said once in a talk. She was on a beach looking out over the water, and she was asking why about her own conditions in her life at that time. And she said she had a moment of illumination, and it was this, that the question why ends in a question mark. And that question mark looks like a hook. And when you ask why, that little hook hooks you in and keeps you in your story and holds you back. And then the God of my being said this, if I told you why at this time, 3 things would happen. You wouldn't understand why. It wouldn't satisfy you. And you would just ask why because of the why. You know, there were moments of despair. Nothing seems to make much sense when you're in that energy. I didn't know what I believed. I even took my science of mind necklace off. And I watched the planes take off, because I always watch the planes take off. And I saw the cars driving on the roads and people going in the stores, and I said, I just want it to stop. I want you all to stop. My son is gone. And I said, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to believe. And God said, return to what you know is the truth. There is a tendency in something like this to abandon the truth when we most need it. Go back to what you know is true. So I went to the Bible. Jesus has been a part of my life. I mean, I came out of the womb. And you know, those Catholics, they throw that holy water on you. And then I was a rebellion and sort of disliked Jesus for a while. And then when I came back to this teaching, Reverend Cynthia helped me to look at him and the Bible in a different way. And he's just become the greatest religious scientist to me. But Jesus says in the Bible, in the New Testament, of course, in the book of John, chapter 14, he says, don't be troubled. You trust God, now trust me. There are many rooms in my Father's home, and I am going to prepare a place for you. If this were not so, I would tell you plainly. When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am. And you know where I am going and how to get there. Tommy. And then I turned to my most favoriteest book I've ever read in my entire life, the Science of Mind textbook. And Dr. Holmes writes on page 388, when we meet each other, do we not feel that subtle presence which flows through all things and gives light and color to our everyday experiences? In our own souls, in the silent processes of thought and understanding, do we not sense another presence? There is something divine about us which we have overlooked. There is more to us than we realize. Man is an eternal destiny, a forever expanding principle of conscious intelligence. Man is the ocean in the drop of water, the sun in its rays. Man, the real man, and we mean women too. Don't tell the rest. I forgot to say women. You know what they'll do to me. It won't be pretty. Man and woman, the real man and woman, is birthless, deathless, changeless. And God, as man in man, is man. The highest God and the innermost God is one and the same God. And so we prepare not to die, but to live. The thought of death should slip from our consciousness altogether. And when this great event of the soul takes place, it should be beautiful, sublime, a glorious experience. As the eagle freed from its cage soars to its native heights, so the soul freed from the home of heavy flesh will rise and return unto its Father's house, naked and unafraid. Return to the truth that you know. And then I prayed. And what I know to be true is this. I realized, too, I'm not a young punk anymore. I'm almost 60 years old. I have lived a lot of life. I'm starting to get it a little bit. But what I know is that in all of it, God is good, and God is good. And that is true in the entire universe at every single spot in space. I do know that life is eternal, that life goes on. I remember when we did Reverend Cheryl's mother's celebration of life. I had never felt someone who had transitioned so present and so alive. As hard as sometimes the universe has had to kick me in the butt, I do know that the universe is always moving us, molding us, driving us to have the very best. Some of you are like Lauren Ballardini. It was an easier job for the universe. Some of you were like me. God love you. I have read many books. What I know to be true is the science of mind. I know that there is a law, a principle in the universe. Some call it the law of attraction, and it is real. And what I know to be the truth is that we create always, always, always. We create our own reality. As Reverend Cynthia would say, there's the good news and there's the bad news. And what I know is that the very fabric of the universe is love. The very essence, the very motivation of the universe is love. And I know that love is the greatest power in the universe. And when we choose love, we've always made the right choice. That's what I know. And in my prayer, the God of my being said to me, your son chose to move on, Reverend Dan. You know, he did not know how to do this. And he said, well, what I want you to know is that where he is alive, he is living, he's loving, he's learning, and he's growing. And Rev Jan, you are here because you have chosen to be here. And what I expect you to do is to continue to live and learn to love more and learn and grow. And just know this, you are both exactly in the right place. And God said, don't close up. Don't contract. Be open to life, even in these events. Be open to life and be open to your son letting you know he is okay. Be that as it may, as one would expect, there was grieving. My heart, I remember, I'm wearing my father's rosary. I don't want you to think, please don't tell Stacey and Cheryl. I showed you my rosary. It was my dad's. I kind of need him right now. And I said things like, when this happens, it slices your heart. It just slices your heart. And I kept saying, my heart aches for my son. It's so heavy. My heart is in pieces. It's broken. I don't know if my little heart can take this kind of pain. guess what? My heart began to ache. And my chest hurt, and my heart beat so hard. I couldn't breathe. I remember I can't breathe. Wow. Do you know what this is? They put this on your wrist when they take you to the ER. So I was rushed to the ER for a possible heart attack. I'm going to tell you one thing, because we're going to have another sermon one day about this. But I remembered later, 7 years ago, I was in the exact same bay, in the exact same ER, in the exact same hospital. We'll talk more about that later, at another time. I had a moment where I realized what I had been thinking and saying and feeling. And I realized that I was creating this. And I stopped right where I was, and out loud, I immediately said treatment. I was and it was good. I mean, I was Reverend Dan McCoy for a minute there. And I said this treatment claiming that I knew that every organ of my body, every cell, was perfect, was wholeness, was completeness. I declared healing. I declared there were tests, and each one of those tests showed that I was perfect in every way, and fabulous, and gorgeous. And at the end of it, I said, and so it is, and my gorgeous, hot, Latino go-go dancer husband said, and just Papasulo, hermoso, precioso, and so it is. 6 hours later, I was released. Not a darn thing wrong. I was reminded, and we can never forget, that we are surrounded by a creative medium that takes the impress of our thoughts, words, and our feelings and uses that as a mold and a blueprint to create what happens in our physical bodies and our physical lives. It has no choice. It must do its work. That's how it's designed. It is like gravity. Gravity can't not be gravity. And the law cannot be the law. And I'm not saying that you can't grieve. I'm just reminding you to be careful in every situation how you use these faculties. You think it creates. So, and I mean absolutely no disrespect or harm to anyone. Tommy had been in Reno for the last several months with his mother. And I called her, obviously, and I was told that Tommy would be cremated, placed in an urn. There would be a Catholic service, and he would be placed on a shelf in a Catholic cemetery. This is new to the Catholic Church. It didn't feel very inclusive. What was said was, I'll do something in Reno, and whatever you want to do, you can do it in Las Vegas. And so I said, I understand. Would there be a possibility to get just a small bit of his ashes. No. The Catholic Church does not permit the separation of the ashes. And I'm just following my faith and your son's faith. I said, I understand. You have to do what you have to do. But when I hung that phone up, I never felt so violated in my entire life. I had never felt so angry. I had never felt so hurt. But I understand. As luck would have it, I would fly to Reno for work this week. And when I was in Reno, I made a decision. And out of anger and spite and hate, I did something. Now I want you to relax. I didn't murder or steal anything or vandalize. I mean, I hit where I wouldn't leave marks, but I didn't. I'm kidding. But I did something. And it caused me to have to drive from Las Vegas to Reno this last Thursday afternoon. I left at 2:30. And as I'm driving, one would think, well, if you've never been on this route before, would you check the route? Would you check the weather? Because there was weather. And would you check the road conditions? No. No, that's silly. I left at 2:30. Along the way, I hit a snowstorm. And then I moved into this fog. I could see 1 inch in front of me, which is barely the tip of my own nose, if you... And then I hit another snowstorm, and I was using my phone as my GPS. And it said, Dan, you're doing pretty good. You're about an hour and a half away from home. And it was a really bad snowstorm. I'm driving, you know. I had 20 cars behind me, and the car right behind me was this close with his high beams on, which apparently was sending me a message. I could not see. I couldn't go that fast. But the GPS apparently, in all of this stress that I'm dealing with, told me to take a right turn. And I missed that turn. And I have nowhere, I can't stop, there's nowhere to pull over. I'm in the middle of a storm, in the middle of a, Nevada desert. So I just kept driving. But the magical machine said, I have a new route for you. I said, well, that's very lovely. She said, well, turn right. I said, well, let's do that. And the angry man and his bright lights can go his way and I can go mine. And so I turned right. And as I turned right and I kind of head up this hill, the snow stopped. I thought, well, that's a lovely gift from the universe. And I'm driving up the hill and the roads are clear. And I keep driving and then I see a few snowflakes fall. And I remember it said 4,000 feet. And every time I hit another 1,000 feet, it had a sign. I had no idea where I was. All I kept thinking is, I wish Fireman Joe was here. He would know what to do. He would know what to do. And he's cute. And his wife would be in Las Vegas. So, I'm driving up this hill, 4,000, 5,000. And all of a sudden it starts to snow a little bit, snowing a little bit more. I keep driving, snowing 6,000 feet. And now it's really starting to come down 7,000 feet. And it's really coming down. And I keep driving and I'm thinking, I've seen this kind of stuff in movies, and generally it ends up with like a bear and a lot of blood on the snow. It's bad. It's bad. So I continue to drive. I don't know what else to do, and now I am in a full-blown blizzard. And I just kind of keep driving, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I happen to look over the edge of the road, which apparently, from what I can see, is straight down. And then I look over at my cell phone, and it says no service. In a blizzard, in a car as big as this table, and then there was a lovely sign flashing, and it said, chains required. And as a matter of fact, for your convenience, we have this little space. You just pull over here and you just put your chains on, and then you'll be safe. And I said, that's lovely, but there are no chains. And I thought, well, just turn around. There was no way to turn around. So I kept driving. And at one point, I just stopped in the middle of the road. Because another wonderful factor about this trip, there wasn't another car for 100 miles in the mountains, in the middle of a blizzard, in a box. No cell service, cliffs. I thought I should write all this down because this is going to make the best Lifetime movie. And I'm just looking out the window at the snow, and the silence was piercing. And then I felt my son. I could feel my son. And I want to tell you, when someone is in addiction, it's draining. It exhausts you physically and spiritually and mentally and financially. And when I sent my son home to Reno several months ago, I didn't like him anymore. I was tired. Everything was a challenge. But in this moment, it was as if the last 10 years were wiped away. And I remembered who he really was. I remember how I adored him when he was younger and how magnificent he was. And I could tell him, you know what, I love you. And I'm not disappointed. And I'm not mad at you. I just want you to be happy. And I got to tell him everything I ever wanted to tell him. And then I looked up and opened my eyes. And in front of my car was the biggest, grandest deer I had ever seen in my life. And I looked and he looked right in my eyes. And I knew that my son was telling me that he was okay. And the deer ran off. And I almost peed myself. Which I don't want them to put in the movie. And then reality set in. And I said, God, is this how this is going to end? Because this is not looking good. And God said, I want to remind you that you are surrounded by a creative medium that receives the impress of your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and uses that as the mold and the blueprint to create the things in your body and in the body of your affairs. And Reverend Dan, when you left Reno, you left in hate, and spite, and anger. And look what the law has created for you. Because when you are in hate, you create death for no one but yourself. God goes, imagine for a moment what you could have created in love and compassion and positivity. God is love. So I thought I would play poker with God and said, how about if I say, I understand and I've learned my lesson? And then you save me. And God replied, maybe in a few minutes. I said, I still question who put you in charge. And then I was nudged to move forward. 3 miles an hour. And what I realized, I was at the top of Mount Charleston. I finally ended up figuring, and I don't know what roads. I'm going to find someone to blame for all of this, but. And I'm driving and I'm scared. And what I realized was, I was on a journey whereby a chapter in my life was closing. I was driving away from a life. I was driving away from a life that had in it a lot of pain, both with my son and my ex-wife. And, she's a lovely person. Lovely. I'm going to send her this CD, so. But it was time to take a journey and to leave that life behind. And there is a message here for someone, and I don't know who it is. But sometimes when you journey from the old to the new, it's like a snowstorm, and you're having to drive, and you're afraid, but you've got to be brave and show courage. And I kept driving. And I kept saying, I am going to be brave. I am going to leave the past where it belongs. And I want a new life. So, I finally get home. Now remember, I left at 2:30 in the afternoon. I finally made it down the hill and made it home at 1 in the morning. I wrote so many stories to tell that they have to go to brunch. So, more stories some other time. I want you to know, I really love this place. And I really love all of you so much.
We love you.
Thank you. And I brought all the cards you sent me. And there were text messages and Facebook messages and flowers. and prayers. And I felt every single one of them. And you saved me. You did. This is what I want you to remember. God is good, and God is good all the time. Never forget the truth. Stay open to life. Be brave and have courage. The universe has your back. And allow the universe to show you how magnificent life is. Because it is. In birth and in what we call death and all the stuff in the middle. It's magnificent. I think that's all I have to say. And I just love you all so much. And thank you for listening to my story. And to my young son, may you just be blessed. And may you just be at ease. And may you know that you are loved beyond measure. And I just can hardly wait to see how your life turns out. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Namaste.
You are the master. I love you very much, Reverend. Please welcome the incredible voice of Dr. Reverend Mortnett Stevens.
Wow, well, there are no words, but this song, I just changed songs because I would like to dedicate this song to you and your son. And just know that you're never alone. When you walk
talk about today's lesson. I just want to say a couple weeks ago, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, Kathy was doing a lesson about giving and receiving. And a couple days ago, I gave my friend $5 because she needed food from the vending machine. And I looked in my pocket and I found $4 here, which I don't know how I got it. And so it proves that is a true lesson. So now on to today's lesson. Today's lesson we learned about happiness and how to treat people. And we read this quote, who the name of the person is slipping my head, but it basically said, I will never forget what you said, but I will always remember how you treated me. So if you treat someone mean, they won't remember what you say, but they will always remember that they felt hurt when you said that to them. Or if you treat someone nicely, like I give Ava a hug, and I say, I love you, maybe she won't remember I said that, but she'll always remember that I gave her a hug and made her feel happy.
Today we learned that God is everywhere, and there's no place that God cannot be somewhere. And if somebody was being mean to you, you could always tell them how you felt, or you could give them a hug.
Okay, it's really painful to see your replacement. Wow. That'll be an easy transition for this church. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up. I'll ask all ministers to come forward, all of our practitioners, visiting ministers, visiting practitioners. And if you'll just all stand and connect. Okay, we're all connected. I just want to take a moment and thank you for listening today. I want you to understand also that I elected for this day also to be my son's celebration of life, and I appreciate you sitting through that and being a part of it, that you are my family. And it meant a lot to me that most of you didn't get up and leave, and you stayed through the whole thing. God, you're good. All right, so let's just take a deep collective breath. I love that. I love that reminder that we all share the same air. We all share the same life. And what I know is that there is only one life, one power, one presence, one essence, one infinite divine mind. There is only one life, and it is God's life, and it is my life now. And what is true for me is true for each and every person in this room. Each person here is an expression of God's life. And so as I stand in these truths, I simply declare that each person here has the knowingness that the universe is love, that life is magnificent. I know that each person here has a wondrous holiday season with friends and family and their sons and their daughters. And for those of us who do not have them here physically, we know that they are with us spiritually. And so I celebrate knowing, and I give thanks knowing that each person navigates from this place with ease and grace and is safe and sound. And each of them will read the signs on the road, and when it says change required, each one of them will pull over. So I release my word into the perfect workings of the law. I know that as I have spoken, it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. and sing.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and now it begins with me.
So repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
I know this in my mind.
I know this in my
I
mind.
feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
And so it is.
And so it